You are listening to the In Search SEO podcast, the podcast that paints the town red with succulent search marketing insights. We are all about growth today. We are growth-minded, growth-oriented, as Yuriy Yarovoy joins the podcast to talk about adopting the growth mindset and how it has helped him take his SEO and marketing to another level. We are going into how a growth mindset relates to SEO and how it opens new opportunities up to you. What does a growth mindset in the context of SEO actually look like, and why SEOs have not yet adopted the growth mindset? I am Mordy Oberstein. I am not joined, as usual, with my great co-host, the quietly roaring, semi-spiteful Sapir Carabello. Once again, I'm flying solo in another pre-recorded little intro and episode that we did for you. Again, we're not yet so sad. We are not doing our usual first set of ramblings from yours truly, all about some whatever SEO insights were on my mind. We're going to go right into what Yuri's got going on with the growth mindset. We're not doing the news, no fun SEO send-off question. Again, tears. But we have some great insights coming to you all about the growth mindset. I love this topic, close, near and dear to my heart. But first, I wanted to say this is my last episode. This is my last episode of the In Search SEO podcast. And I just want to say thank you for listening. Thank you for offering me this platform to express my SEO self and to showcase some really, really great guests. And I hope you've learned some really cool SEO insights along the way. I truly, truly, deeply appreciate you tuning in each and every week. With that, the In Search SEO podcast will be going on hiatus. Hopefully we'll be coming back with a new host. But for the meantime, we are going to be taking a little bit of a break. But keep your eye out for new announcements from Rank Ranger about the In Search SEO podcast. Okay, so with that, here's Yuriy Yarovoy about adopting the growth mindset, why it's important, how it opens new opportunities to you, and why you should consider it within the SEO context.
Here comes another search marketing expert. It's time for an In Search interview.
This is another In Search SEO podcast interview. Today we have with us an outdoors enthusiast, an East Coast transplant, now living it up in California. He is the co-founder of the big SEO subreddit and the chief growth officer over at Warrior Made. He is Yuriy Yarovoy. How are you, man?
Doing well. Thanks for that Kent Brockman-esque intro. Really.
Kent Brockman.
No,
nice.
It was good.
Thank you. I appreciate
that.
that.
You put the announcer voice on.
Oh, yeah, I do. That's like my thing. That's like, I tell my guests, like, this is the highlight of the interview. Like, it's all downhill from here.
It's all
is like,
downhill.
yeah,
All
this
right.
is the best part of it.
Whew. Thank you for setting the bar so
Absolutely.
So
You can, like, there's nothing you can do to screw this up at this point. Like, that's it. No, it's all over.
I don't know. I'm full of surprises, man.
Oh, let's try. You know what? Let's actually go for that. I would like to see how big of a shit fest this can actually turn into. I have to ask you, because I hate forums. Like, I've recently joined Reddit, maybe like 3 weeks ago.
Your life is over.
I don't have time. I don't have time.
Oh, no. See, Reddit will make you make time. It's insidious like that.
I love the karma thing. Right, you have to have these karma points. I don't even know what the hell they are, to be honest with you. But you can't get them.
Yeah, and sometimes you become a karma whore.
Is that what it is?
All you're doing is publish. Yeah. Karma whoring
that's a real thing. Is that a real term?
Oh yeah.
Okay, see, I know nothing about this. I'm about to end a
just
world of
scratching the
pain.
surface.
Oh boy.
I kind of like, one, I feel terrible for you, but at the same time, I kind of wish I could be in your shoes again, so I could like discover all of the accoutrements that come with becoming a Redditor.
It's a funny place. Like, all right, so I had to build this karma. I can't post. I actually tried to post in your forum, and I couldn't do it because I didn't have enough karma.
Yep.
So I went to
karma.
Right, whatever it is. I went to a baseball forum or baseball thread or subreddit, whatever it is, because like, all right, I like baseball. I'll just comment on what someone said there. Someone will upvote it, like it, whatever you guys call this in Reddit land, and that's how I got my karma. This system makes no sense.
Yeah. Oh, it makes total sense.
That makes no sense.
It assigns points to the perceived value of your opinion.
Right, but I lost points initially.
It's a meritocracy.
I guess so.
Not actually, really, because it's totally
okay. So
gameable, but yeah.
The first thing I did, by the way, big shout out to our editor, Levi, who gave me that idea. Like, I'm like, dude, I can't find any karma. He's like, hey, just comment on a hobby that you have. So the first thing that I did was make fun of a Mets fan. Which is right, probably
I'm
not.
You went to like a Yankees.
No, I went to a baseball subreddit, and it was Bobby Bonilla Day. If you're a baseball fan, you know that. If you're not a baseball fan, look that up. It's basically a guy getting paid $1 million every single year for 25 years, basically.
Yep.
It's amazing.
2002 or 2003 was the deal that he signed.
Something like that. He's a horrible player. I mean, he was a great player at one point. He really sucked. He ended up retiring, and the Mets now have to pay this guy $1 million every year for like the rest of his life.
He took the deferred deal.
Yeah, he took the deferred deal.
It was the right move.
Yeah. By the way,
I mean, like as a business move,
brilliant.
Brilliant.
But he's not the only guy, by the way. There's a lot of. It's not. He's the most famous one, but there's a bunch of people who do this. It's brilliant. Really? Yeah, it's a whole list, like 10, 15. A lot of them in baseball for some reason. So the first thing I did was make fun of a Met fan for this, and I lost all my karma. That's Reddit for you. It was worth it. Every second of it was worth it.
Oh, yeah. As a Phillies fan, I say...
There you go.
You can go to hell, but, you know.
Nice. Okay.
And the podcast is over.
That was very Philly. Why don't we burn down your city at the same time after winning something?
Too bad you're on Zoom. I throw batteries at you.
Oh, no. Hey, I'm a Yankee fan. That's what we do. We threw
batteries at Santa Claus, man.
That's true.
That was a Philadelphia thing first.
I was going to say we threw batteries at Kirby Puckett, but Santa Claus definitely beats that. Okay. So, wait. We're actually going to talk about SEO and search marketing and digital marketing. Yeah, I know. We can really go down this wormhole for a very long time. Okay, so when we were setting this interview up, we were trying to set up a topic. You email me. I'm going to quote your email. That's cool.
Sure.
Yeah, it's your own words. You're screwed now. Yeah, you can drop it. Okay.
No, it's better under the breath.
Okay.
It's like, you know.
You're holding back, really. That's really, yeah. You're a better person than I am. The latter, this is you. The latter portion of my career has been an intentional progression away from SEO. I know everybody stopped, like they're all plotting.
What the hell am I doing on this podcast?
Unbelievable. Has been an intentional progression away from SEO and to a growth/marketing lead role as a way to take complete control over strategy and be able to dictate and incorporate and inform all other marketing channels with the overarching SEO strategy. So if you just died, resuscitate yourself. Because what struck me was when you said to take complete control over strategy. What did you mean? I don't know. I was like 4 weeks ago.
I don't know. Have you ever worked at an agency?
No.
Did you ever work at an SEO agency?
No, I've been on the tool side of my whole career.
Oh, that's awesome. So your product side is that's where I am now.
Oh, cool. For both tools.
I see what you mean.
Yep, that's right.
No, so I worked agency side for 5 or 6 years, and I learned a lot. It was a fantastic experience because I was exposed to a lot of different industries, a lot of different people, learned a lot about other channels as well. I think, like, from a learning perspective, it's huge. But one thing that you quickly realize on the agency side is you have no ownership. You'll spend 3 months on a project, you'll give it to a client, they're like, we're out of budget, or we don't have resources, we have no idea how to do it, and like, you move on, because, you know, you cashed your check, so, like, on them.
Right.
That sucks, right? Like,
that's kind of actually, right.
Like
very fulfilling. That's very fulfilling.
Yeah, it's like, some people are cool with it. Like, to me, it's a kick in the nuts.
So that's one way to put it.
And then once I went in-house, what I quickly realized is, one, you have way more ownership. But you now have to cross-sell your strategy to decision makers that ultimately say, like, yeah, that we're going to do this. No, we're not going to do this. Yeah, like, we're going to invest in that channel instead of SEO, or we'll do half of what you're saying and then invest the rest, right?
Right.
And those kinds of value judgments are really, in my opinion, inefficient, right? So what I really wanted to do is have complete control over not just the kind of like what we do from the SEO side, but like how it actually gets implemented and actually seeing things through from end to end, right? But at the same time, what you find is like, I don't know, every channel thinks that they're like the greatest thing since sliced bread, right?
Absolutely.
Like,
PPC, better than SEO.
yeah,
social media.
social, affiliate, yada, yada, yada. I'm sure there's a direct mail
Affiliates.
guy out there or woman out there saying that direct mail is the future. I bet you there's at least one, right? In some like, I mean, in some geo somewhere, right?
Right,
Like,
right. There's,
I don't know.
Right. There's got to be.
Direct mail might be killing it, but, point being, I got tired of that kind of like tug of war. And what I really wanted to do is actually just be effective.
Yep.
Right. So I wanted to take complete control over how things get implemented, which things get implemented in what order and what priority, and then take what I've learned over my years, strictly focusing on SEO and apply that across all these channels, because SEO can inform so many. I mean, like the obvious one is, paid search, right?
Yep.
Like that yep. Like they work hand in hand. And so many times I've seen agencies where it's like the paid search team is over here and then the SEO team's over here and they don't talk. Some agents that's
amazing.
Not all agencies. Like there are tons of really, really awesome agencies. Like Seer is a perfect example. Like they work hand in hand, right? They're very cross-functional. But most aren't. And you end up with
that's what's amazing to me.
Yeah, sorry?
That's amazing to me, though, because the whole idea is you're not trying to improve your SEO. You're not trying to dominate the paid SERP. You're just trying to make more money and grow your visibility, grow your business.
But isn't that the point?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. That's why
if you're especially in-house, I don't really care if you take, my ultimate goal is for the business to succeed.
Yep, that's what it is. Right, more sales. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. And it's funny to me because I almost wonder why there's less of a crossover, because I think it's a natural crossover to say something like CRO and SEO.
Yeah,
and they're almost
CRO is applicable everywhere. Though,
right, that's exactly what it
is.
Yeah. You're trying to bring people in. That's the whole point, and it's funny how we sort of live in this bubble of all right, there's SEO, and then it's almost it's like Google Planet or this Google orbit.
Yeah.
And it's peculiar to say the least.
It's logical. It makes total sense, right? I think here's the other part. So, okay, all of these things that we're talking about, that's really getting traffic in. What happens when the traffic gets there?
Yeah.
Right. And that's why I really I have a really big pet peeve when people talk about growth, especially in Twitter land. It's always in context of paid or performance marketing, which is bullshit. I'm sorry. Growth in also never call it growth hacking. That is
never call anything hacking.
Right. Yeah. Agreed. Right. But when you look at growth, it's yes. Okay. People got to your product. They're using Rank Ranger. Okay, now, how do we get them to engage with it? How do we get them to retain, right? What do we do inside the product, whether it's building new features or changing the way that we present certain features, right? Or going outside of the product and changing the language or changing the messaging, changing the campaigns that are actually driving that traffic to drive more qualified traffic. Because, sure, I'm driving, I rank for every term in the world and I'm driving 10 million people a day to my site, but 9.999 million of those are terrible users.
Yep, exactly.
That will never convert and pay me. I'm actually losing money on infrastructure costs.
Yep.
By driving that traffic.
It's
traffic for traffic's sake is shit.
That's my favorite. It's almost as bad as ranking for ranking's sake.
Right.
Yeah, same thing. Yeah.
But that's the rabbit hole. I can go down that.
Yeah, that's a whole. That's a whole
That's a whole thing. But that happens in SEO all the time, where it's I can't really justify my position or my value, so I'm just going to rank for all of these keywords and be look at my rankings.
Right.
Cool. How many sales did that drive?
Yeah, and that's
probably few.
Right. That's the hard part. That's the very hard. And there's two hard parts of it. One is okay, you can't always just measure that kind of thing, how many sales did it bring in, but how I view it like this. I view SEO as a tool, and this is going to sound almost people are not going to believe I'm saying this I'm such an SEO person and we're an SEO tool, but I view SEO as a means, right? My whole idea, my whole job is to understand users and consumers, to bring them in, to grow our brand, to grow our product, to grow our revenue and all that, whatever. SEO is a means to doing that. Like if I want to put out content, right? People in the SEO community, knowledge is the commodity, right? I want to show that we have knowledge, we have authority. I'm going to share knowledge with you. So I'm going to use SEO to make it findable. But that's like, it's like a, I don't know how to put it. It's almost like it's a small detail of a much larger picture.
I think, so this is why I kind of transitioned to this like broader role, right? I look at exactly, I'm going to rephrase kind of what you said.
I would love for you to
exactly
do that.
like that.
Because I rephrase that terribly.
No. Like, I look at SEO as a piece on a chessboard. Just like paid search, paid social, affiliate, that guy with the direct mail campaigns, email, whatever, right? They are pieces on a chessboard. And sometimes SEO is an incredibly effective piece to move. Sometimes it isn't, right? There are plenty of products, services where SEO probably won't be the channel that drives the most sales, right? Or drives the most business impact. It might be paid search. It might be affiliate, right? I wanted to make those decisions. I wanted to kind of be the one playing chess. I didn't want to be the piece on the board.
I get that. That's cool.
I don't know. Maybe it's like an ego power thing.
It makes a lot of sense.
I hope
like
it isn't.
You need,
but like,
if you want to drive whatever goal you want to do, like that's what you need to do.
Yeah.
I mean, it's about, you know, it's almost like an opportunity mindset. Like, where's the opportunity?
Right. But that's the growth mindset, is like, where's the opportunity to make the most business impact? Is it changing this feature in the product? Because that is where we're seeing the most drop off. And we have a huge opportunity to actually like have a multiplicative effect by optimizing this product feature. Or is it on the acquisition side? Whether it's, you know, creating a system for generating tons of content that is actually of value to our users, that drives them to our landing page, that drives them into the product, and now they're in the product. Great. Now we've captured them. How do we get the most out of them?
Yep.
How do we present them with the most opportunity to stay with the product and build trust with the brand?
You know, when you put it like that, it really does. It's almost like self-evident. Like, why are we talking about this? No, it really is. Like, you're trying to find opportunity. You're trying to create growth. And like, I don't, like, what are you saying? It's like not so novel. But for whatever reason, and I'm curious what your thoughts are. Like, this is not a common outlook within the SEO industry, to say the least.
It's not a common outlook, I think, in a lot of... let's not make it SEO specific.
That's true.
I know.
No,
This is an SEO podcast.
No, that's where we're from.
Yeah,
I get it. You could do the same thing with email marketing, I'm sure. And yeah,
100%.
Not picking anybody in the SEO community except for so-and-so who you know who you are.
They know who they are.
They know who they are.
Have you been to Philly? Have you driven down 95?
Oh, I've been to Philly.
Have you driven down 95?
Yeah, of course.
Have you seen certain billboards of a certain... Never mind.
No, I haven't.
Some people on your podcast will get it.
Okay.
Some people will be offended.
I've been to Philly, and I've gotten yelled and screamed at for wearing a Rangers hat, but yeah, that's a different story.
If you ever talk to Nick Eubanks, you should ask him about the billboards on 95.
Okay. I'm going to make a note about that. Nick Eubanks.
Please do. Yeah.
Billboards 95. Got it. It's done. Consider it done.
For anyone that's ever actually gone to the SEO Grail meetup in Philly, shout out to Bill Rowland. Okay, anyway.
Okay, so why? Forget. Okay.
Why?
Yes, you're gonna. Yeah.
So, SEO is the art of making mountain ranges out of a single molehill.
you know, like someone just actually died when you said that, right? There's some SEO somewhere who just had a heart attack.
It's fine. I think step one
blood
is
on your hands.
that.
Yeah, blood on your hands. All right. I see how you roll in Philly. I don't care.
Yeah.
Hey. We'll beat up children at baseball games. I don't care about killing people because we said SEO sucks.
Whoa, that's escalating things a little.
Hey, look, dude.
I know. Those were fighting words.
Right.
Sorry.
It's okay.
I'll
it's all right.
probably get some angry emails.
No, it's good. The more controversial you are, the better. I view this podcast as like Howard Stern does SEO. The crazier you go, the better.
That was not in the description. Oh, man. What did I sign up for?
That's right. You don't know what's coming on next after this. Anyway.
Yeah. No, look. I have a couple good examples of this. Like, remember when Eat like first like hit the Twitter sphere in the SEO community?
I was part of that because I'm big on that. I'm big on EAT.
Why?
Because I think with the core.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Let me be more specific. Since EAT became this thing in the last, let's say, year.
Okay.
What revelation or revolutionary insight within EAT changed anything that you should have been doing
Before? Oh no, nothing. Absolutely nothing.
So why the fuck are we talking about?
Because people are not doing that. Like, I'll tell you exactly why, in my opinion. Okay? So like, I got on the EAT bandwagon after the Medic update because one of the things that I saw was that Google was like profiling sites and like saying, you know what, like who are you? What's your identity? Like, are you a really good informational site? Or are you an informational site that's really just trying to sell me some magical powder through so many banner ads and CTAs? I'm like, all right, identity and authority and trust, they're the same concept. Like once Google's looking at identity, authority, trustworthiness, expertise, it's really one and the same, right? In terms of what you should actually be doing, nothing should have changed. But what I think it does mean is I look at it as a way of saying to people, you need to look at the content you're writing from the perspective of like, who are you? What should you be talking about? And what helps the user understand who you are? So if you're a site that talks about SEO, so just talk about SEO. Don't talk about whatever it is you want to talk about to get a high search volume keyword. But yeah, it's like basic things that you should be doing before.
Right.
But we don't think it's like almost as if like, you know, a real marketer. Sorry, I don't mean to call SEOs not real marketers. That did not come out right. A real marketer would have been doing this anyway.
So much hate mail now.
This is perfect. Okay.
Ugh.
A real marketer would have said, you know what, like, okay, so I have this site. I want to really come up as, I really want to, you know, I want to manifest a certain identity to the user, right? To whoever's reading my stuff, to whoever's coming to my site, so they understand who I am, what I'm about. It builds up the sense of that you can trust me. I'm an expert in this. I have authority. Come buy whatever thing I'm selling. Mm-hmm. A real marketer had been doing that from the start, but SEO has been so far behind actual marketing. Because we're so focused on keywords and title tag and all these things that
the problem.
Right. So when it comes like finally, I think the EAT thing is sort of like saying like, you know, think like a marketer for 5 minutes and stop thinking like an SEO.
Again, like nothing. I agree with everything you said, but nothing is revolutionary.
No, nothing.
Nothing like
nothing.
We basically, and this was my point about like, you know, mountain ranges out of single molehills. Like, I think this whole thing about, you know, why hasn't this caught on? Why hasn't this kind of mentality caught on? Is partly out of self-interest, right?
Okay.
And this applies to all channels with their own versions of EAT, and you know, but like by staying siloed and specialized, we in the SEO community can control the perceived difficulty and scope of a given problem. So we can go to a client and say, well, you have an EAT problem. It's like, oh shit, this has a name. Right? Like, it's important because you named it and there's a term for it. I don't know how to do this. It's like, actually, you've been doing this your entire life naturally because it's the
normal thing to do.
Like, most basic building block of a business, like trust. Right? Now, here's where it's not applicable. If I have a bunch of MFA or affiliate sites, like, I don't give a fuck about it.
Yeah.
I am going to do whatever the hell works. I'm going to buy all the spammy links. I am going to have all spin text. I don't care because if a site gets burned down, great, I could spin it back up. Most of that stuff's templated. 2, my goal is to extract as much value from the site as quickly as possible. Right? It's not about building a brand or authority or anything. Right?
Right.
So it really depends on what you're doing. Like, if you're trying to build a real brand or real business, I would never say do that. I would say EAT is a framework that you should have been doing all along. But now it's got a name. But there's nothing revolutionary.
No, So I think one is, ironically, out of all the people who when I speak about this, the affiliates give me the hardest time. Not like the hardest like in a bad way, but they're like, okay, so what the hell do we do? Because if we want to be in this in the long term, I don't want my site to get crushed. How do I create something that's a little bit more? I'm not going to use any of the buzzwords. How do I create something that's a little? I got to think of another word that's not a buzzword. That's more that's more substantial, right? That comes across as more, for lack of a better word, to all the affiliates out there, legitimate.
Yep. Legitimate is a legitimate word.
Right, yeah. Unless you're an affiliate marketer, in that case, it doesn't exist. So I just totally stuck my foot in it. And how do I get the max value at the same time? So they have a real problem. I think for some time, I agree with you, but what you're saying, by the way, like keyword, you know what my keyword research looks like? This is going to sound horrible because we sell keyword research tool. So like, don't not buy our tool. Like, buy our tool. I literally type in a couple
Insert product
right.
here.
Hey, look, I got to eat.
No pun intended, right?
I got kids, right? So I go to the SERP, I type in a couple of keywords related to whatever post I'm writing about. I'm like, all right, what's Google? What's the intent here? Well, Google's showing this kind of site, that kind of site. All right, I kind of get what Google's doing here. I'm done.
Yeah.
That's literally what I do. Am I a horrible SEO? Probably. That's fine. But no. But I also think there is another concept to like that might be to give SEO some credit. It is a little bit abstract. Like if you want to think about like, how do I create an identity for my site, for myself, for my business?
Yeah.
That's way more abstract than like what keyword is most representative of this copy that I'm writing.
So, but it's a logical progression, right? You start with this like, how do I establish this identity? It's like, well, what are like pared down to first principles? Like, what is identity?
Yeah.
What does it actually mean to establish?
So
identity?
now we're getting
and
philosophical.
like now we're back to the chessboard, right? Like, well, I have ways that like you can establish an identity strictly through Twitter. Just build an audience and say things that people actually listen to.
That's what I do all day long.
Ever need to? Yeah, but like you never need SEO.
Right. No,
If
agree.
that's not the medium.
If you're selling to grandma who's never going to use, or if you're selling to Donald Trump and he's not going to go to a website, you're just going to market him on Twitter.
Or buy ad space on Fox News.
Right.
Sure.
I don't know if we have to edit that ad or not. I have to think about that. How political was that? Was that too political?
No, I think that's a fact. Like,
right.
If you want to reach the president, given all public information,
I'm saying it's a fact. I'm not saying it's a political.
Way.
And Twitter. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm just saying it is what it is.
It's a statement of fact. I'm not making a value judgment one way or another.
Right.
I can. We can totally go down that road. Happy to do it.
Now, how do we get back on track?
What is the track?
There is
Why
no track.
Why are we here?
I don't know. Because hey, I got nothing better to do at 9:30 at night. Okay, so you know what? Can you do me a favor? Shoot. I wanna see. It's really nice to get into the abstractions of all this. I enjoyed the abstractions of all of this. I get this, but let's say we're someone who doesn't get this, and now you're waking up to the fact that wait a second, there's a whole nother approach to my life, my SEO life that I didn't know about before. It's called growth marketing, opportunity finding. Sure. Can you bring it back down to earth? What's an example? Like, show me an example of how you'd approach a problem or a particular problem that you've had in the past.
Sure. I mean, I can talk.
I'm not to put you on the spot or anything.
No, it's fine. I can walk you through kind of like a basic framework.
Okay, yeah, that'll totally work. I'll take whatever you got.
And if we jump into specifics, we jump to anyway. All right. So I'm going to talk kind of framework first, right? Does your product solve a problem? I'm assuming it does, right? So like solving the real world problems that help your customer is the goal. And a secondary benefit is your business gets some kind of revenue or brand appeal, yada, 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 right? Like your number one priority as a business is like to solve a problem, right? And as a byproduct of that, your business grows, whether it's through money that it gets or some clout, right? Whatever it may be. But that's, I think like, that priority needs to exist. If you go into it and it's like, how do I extract the most value possible rather than like, how do I provide the most value possible right. You're from the get-go. Or, sorry, you're not, but like your maximum scope for the business is
yeah, and you're also a bad person.
Just by that mentality.
You're also a bad person.
Huh?
Nah, that's not true.
That's a value
not
judgment
true.
that I don't
that's
like.
I
don't necessarily care about making. I'm more judgmental of like the
Fair enough.
business itself. So, all right,
got it.
You have that, right? Like that kind of hierarchy exists. Now, what problems do your users actually face? Does your product address those problems?
Right.
Right? Can users discover those solutions within your product? And then can your users discover those solutions externally from your product through the content that you make, right? Through the content that you distribute or your partners distribute that point back to your product, right? Now, so like the users inside your product,
right.
hopefully, after all of this work, like you've acquired them, right? Like the acquisition kind of step is done. Now, what do they do in the product? Are they actually engaging with the product? Are they using it? After they use it, do they stick around or do they churn, right? Can we improve basically like at every step of that process, from acquisition to activation and engagement to retention, and then hopefully, very few, but then resurrection, right? Like they're out, like can we get them back? But can we improve the metrics going from, from the onboarding screen inside your product to people sticking around for 31 days, right? Can we improve how many people come from this landing page and actually sign up into the product, right? Growth looks at the entire picture, not just your acquisition channels. It looks at your product as well, and all of the campaigns that your product outputs as a byproduct, right? And looks at how do we increase and improve the efficiency of each of those steps.
It's amazing. Yeah, it's like problem solving, finding opportunity. Problem solving, finding opportunity. Yep.
Right. But it basically, like, what happens when you're just like, I'm an SEO, then the rest of that becomes not your problem, right? Or like, I'm in paid search. Like, the product piece is not your problem. The SEO piece is not your problem. Like, I kind of wanted to make all of it my problem. Cool. Right? Like, I enjoy all of these pieces. I think that they're all critical to product improvement, to product growth, to traffic growth, right?
So basically, we spent a half hour, and now we're back to taking complete control over your strategy.
Yeah.
That's
I mean,
perfect.
look, it's not by no means is this a one person thing. I think the hardest part of this entire kind of framework is selling it across your organization and making sure that everyone speaks the same language. That's why, like, I'm a huge fan of, and like, I gladly paid for Reforge. Reforge is Brian Belfour, Andrew Chen, Casey Winters. I'm forgetting someone, and I feel really bad. Tweet at me and yell at me, please. But like, they put out this, like, what Reforge, again, like, nothing inside Reforge is revolutionary in a vacuum, right? Like, you look at each piece and you're like, yeah, that's obvious, or like, that makes sense, or like, yes, this is a good way to present it. But I think the huge value there is it provides a single framework through which you can communicate to other people, right? So it gives you a language that you can kind of teach your organization or have other people go through the curriculum and like learn. And now you're all kind of on the same page. You understand that, like, you shouldn't think linearly. You should think in loops, like just basic kind of nomenclature changes. And that nomenclature actually is really, really powerful because, like, language ultimately controls reality, right? Language shapes your perception.
The doors of perception.
That's a philosophical debate for another time.
That's very poetic.
Thank you. Yeah. Probably not mine. Okay. I don't know. I've read it somewhere or something.
No, it's all yours. For the purpose of this podcast, it's yours.
Sure.
Okay.
Yuriy Yarovoy, Michael Scott. Yeah. that old chestnut.
Hello. Michael Scott. I declare bankruptcy. Okay. Now that we've done all of that and come totally full circle, I have this fun little game that I do with all my guests. It's I call it Optimize It or Disavow. It's where I give you two really good options, and you're stuck choosing one good option over another good option, or two really crappy options, and you're stuck choosing crap over crap, and that's just crappy. So, this is the Yuriy Yarovoy version of Optimize It or Disavow It. So it's a zero-sum world. You could say it depends, that usual SEO, no. But you're a growth marketer. You don't do that depends thing. Which would you rather have? Bad social media strategy or a bad SEO strategy?
Like, if I had to inherit one?
Yeah, if you had to Yeah. Which one?
Can I talk it out?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. So a bad social media strategy could potentially be a PR disaster.
I mean, everybody hates you. It's
yeah,
terrible.
I mean, like, imagine if, like, a hospice had the Wendy's social media strategy. Like, it's probably not the right tone of voice. I'm just like, some things just don't align well.
Right, that would be good.
Whereas, like, bad SEO strategy, I think is a little more like I would rather inherit the bad SEO strategy because I think that that's fixable significantly faster and just like with a bit, I don't know. I mean, it'll require a lot of work, but like bad social media strategy would be really bad potentially for the business because it's so publicly facing all the time.
Right.
And that could do way more damage in the time that you're trying to fix it than, or have already done damage than like with SEO.
No, that's a really good point.
Then again, like you could be like, well, robots like disallow everything. Like, fuck.
Yeah, well, as soon as you find that though, as soon as you find it, if you find it, you're good. It's a matter of finding it.
Exactly. With like, I think social media requires a little more nuance, and it's
because people.
It's hard. Yeah, like, well, that's the thing. Like, it's hard to train for social media because there is that layer of nuance. It's like, I could teach you how to shoot 3-pointers all day. You could be.
Could you really?
Frickin'. No, I'm terrible.
All right, you got me really excited for a second.
For this rhetorical debate,
okay. No, I just want to make sure because I always wanted to shoot a 3-pointer.
You could be like Ray Allen-esque.
Okay.
Right, but I can't teach you to be taller.
That's true.
Right?
True.
Like, so like with social media, it's like, yeah, I could teach you all of like the moves, but like you're not going to be as funny as the people on Wendy's. Like that's not like a learned trait.
Right.
Or it's like it's a lot harder to learn. Let's put it that way.
Especially if you're a hospitce. It's
like,
how do I make this
I wonder
funny?
How
can I make this funny? No, I would pay to see that. The point is though that you're right. Like it's easier to deal with a bot than people. It's always easier to deal with a bot than people.
Working with machines to a larger extent.
Yeah.
There's more moving parts though, I would say.
Right, that's true, but people are hard.
Yeah. People are hard.
And we're going to end with that ball of wisdom. People are hard.
People are hard.
People are hard. Thank you, Yuriy, for coming on. It's been amazing. Probably the most fun I've had in a very long time on this podcast.
Awesome. I'm glad I could dance like a monkey and entertain.
I appreciate that. That's why you're here. I really do appreciate it. I am not gonna deny that.
Awesome.
But thanks, man.
Yep.
Bye. And that will do it for today's episode of the In Search SEO podcast. Again, this is my last episode. That's why it's been pre-recorded. I very much again appreciate you tuning in each and every week. I love you all. It's been great. The podcast is on hiatus, but do keep your ear to the ground for new announcements from the In Search SEO podcast and Rank Ranger as time goes on. Again, thank you. Love you.